Hello, it's Bob Carey again with the second edition of Let's Make a Shelter. This is my idea for what I call the Equilateral Triangle Shelter, or ETS. And basically what I've done is gone to the hobby shop and bought some balsa wood. And what I did was I basically am imitating 4-foot by 8-foot sheets of OSB and 8-foot 2x4. On 3 sheets of OSB I have put down 2x4s, and then I have, because the ends are square, you have to cut the ends of the 2x4s at an angle so that they will fit together properly. You basically attach the 2x4s to the OSB using probably 8-penny galvanized nails, and then you basically assemble it. Now my original idea was for 3 of these units together, and then I forgot that in fact if the 2x4s were on the inside that would make a pretty lousy floor. So you need another sheet of OSB that you have to cut, which I don't like doing all of this cutting, but it gets down to a certain amount of minimum. But you cut about 1 foot off of another sheet of 4x8 OSB, and you then lay that down as a floor. If you take a couple of 2x8s, you can attach them to the bottom, nail them to the bottom, and the unit will sit on the ground, raised up off the ground so that the shelter won't sit in the water. There are a couple of different ways to do the doors or the ends. In this one I just basically took one that would be 1 sheet of 4x8 cut into 2 triangles, and that can make either a back end, or you can put hinges on it and make it a door that will open. In this case I just glued it together. Or you could cut a door of some sort or an entrance into this. Another approach, which I thought was kind of interesting, was to take 2 separate sheets of what would be 4x8 OSB and cut them into this shape. And so what you can do then is you can lower these together, and of course you would brace them in a way that they would sit. And so basically this shelter would then have some protection. It would remain open, but would have some protection from rain. And of course in a storm you would close it up completely. Now you'd have to arrange the hinges so that they could overlap, but basically you could secure the shelter that way. And the at other times you could leave it. Now the thing is that this is a 4-foot long piece of a shelter that you could very easily, and I think you would naturally put 2 of these units together to make an 8-foot square shelter, or you could do 3. You could do a couple of these in a row with a wall like this and put it back to back with another unit with another door. I think one of the things that's nice to have in the tropics is ventilation. And so I would tend to do something like this, perhaps on both ends. This unit, I estimate, will cost about $100. So for every 4 feet, plus or minus $10 or $20, depending on how you put them together exactly, a 8-foot square shelter would cost about $200. These units are about 7 foot high on the interior height. So a few other just construction details is that you would want to put caulking and along the edges, and then behind that put in blocking on the inside in between the vertical members, and then basically along the roof line you want to go along with nails and hammer into that blocking to give this some more strength. There isn't, obviously this is a relatively primitive shelter. There's no utilities. If I were going through a hurricane, I'd probably get some kind of a bucket, for a honey bucket, so that you wouldn't have to go outside during the storm. I think naturally you would put 2, 3, 4 of these units together in lots of different combinations. I think I would want to take some heavy circus type stakes, drive them into the ground, and tie this thing down in case you were expecting a bad hurricane. One of the things that I would do before I spend any real money on this kind of thing is I'd get together with you know, some group like Cal Poly or Georgia Tech or somebody, and some engineer types, and work out the details and make sure that this thing is as strong as I think it would be. And I would want to build a number of them and figure out best practices for how to build them in large quantities, and also think out ahead of time how you would approach a camp in Haiti with everybody speaking French Creole, and basically figure out how to organize people, get them to basically cooperate and get up, you know, understand what you were trying to do, and then work cooperatively with a large group of people to build a number of these types of shelters. Again, I'm very, very concerned about hurricanes. It's one thing to provide rain shelter, but it's another thing to be caught out in a hurricane in a soft-walled shelter. And so I really think that something like this is desirable. There are a lot of little construction details about this, but basically I think that this is something that can be assembled with off-the-shelf hardware that is pretty easily available in the United States. And I hope you appreciate that I'm just trying to, basically trying to come up with some decent emergency shelter ideas. Thank you very much.